Thank you so much for joining the Northwest Church YouTube channel. If you'd like to follow along with the message today, you can check out the notes linked in the description below. Let's jump into the message.
I want you to turn to 2 Kings chapter 5, 2 Kings chapter 5 as we conclude, as we put a bookend on our series called Silent Killers. So today's going to be the last day of that. Next week's a brand new series that we're really excited about. So I hope that you will join us next week. So far, we've talked about unforgiveness, loneliness, doubt, sin, and today we're going to finish with pride. Pride is a word like many other words today that have really evolved into other meanings. But regardless of our perspective, God's perspective of pride hasn't changed. King Solomon, known as one of the most wealthy and the most wisest men to ever live, he writes these. He said, there are 6 things that God hates. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. He says, there are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Verse 17, number 1 on the list. Are you ready? Haughty eyes. And if you go and look in the original language of Hebrew, this would be translated, best translated, as a prideful look, or to see oneself exalted or higher than you ought to. Solomon also said in Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 18, pride, that word pride, by the way, is translated as arrogance or swelling. Ever tell someone, don't let your head swell, don't let your head get too big? Pride, it goes before destruction, and arrogance before a fall. Now, Satan would know this firsthand. After all, he was kicked out of heaven because of his pride. Clearly, pride is a problem. And if we're not careful, it can become a silent killer affecting every area of our lives. Pride shows up in our story today. I want to give you a little quick backdrop to this. During this time in Israel's history, there was a great prophet. His name was Elisha, and he performed many miracles. The other key person in our story was a great commander. His name was Naaman. He was famous, he was wealthy, he was very successful, but he had a problem. 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 1 says, though Naaman was a mighty warrior, he suffered from leprosy. Now, leprosy was not only a terrible skin disease that was incurable, but in many cultures it was considered a curse. So though Naaman had a great position of authority, this surely would affect his social status. So what would be the solution to his problem? Well, Naaman's wife had a servant girl, and she told her to say something to Naaman about this great man of God named Elisha. And so Naaman agrees to go see the man of God. So we're going to pick up Elisha's solution. So think about this. I'm going to put this in context. He has leprosy. It's an incurable disease. So the little servant girl said, I know this man. His name is Elisha. You need to go see him. Do whatever he tells you to do. So he shows up. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 10. The man of God says, go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Now remember the number 7, it symbolizes perfection. So he says, go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Then your skin will be restored and you will be healed of your leprosy. Now, let's just stop. That sounds really simple. This man has an incurable disease. The man of God sends out his assistant to tell Naaman to go to the Jordan River, wash yourself, dip yourself 7 times in the Jordan River, and after you have done that, you will be healed. It sounds really simple, and that really should be the end of the story. And it should read, and Naaman immediately went down to the Jordan River, dipped 7 times, and he was healed. But that's not how the story continues. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 11 says, Naaman became angry, and he stalked away. Now, what's these next 2 words? I thought. Now, you're missing that. I thought he would certainly come out to meet me. I expected him to wave his hand over the leprosy and call on the name of the Lord his God and heal me. Now, Naaman's story is much like our story today. So it's very simple. Naaman has an incurable disease. The man of God sends word, go and do this, and you will receive your healing. And then all of a sudden, Naaman says, I thought, or I expected you to do something different than what you're doing. He gets angry, he walks away. How often do we experience the same thing? God tells us to do something. He reveals something through his word. It's very simple. If you will do this, then I will do that. But between point A and point B, Naaman was like a termite and a yo-yo. No, I'm going to do my own thing. Again, that's pride. The essence of pride, are you ready for this? I want you to write it down this morning in your notes. Pride, here's what I want you to write beside of that. It's my way over God's way. That's what pride's all about. It's me thinking that my way is a better way than God's way. Now, Naaman eventually came around. He came to his senses. He took something simple and he made it complicated. He would have got his healing a lot sooner and a lot quicker if only he would have done exactly what the man of God told him to do. Instead, he wanted it his way and done in his timing, and that's not how God works. You know what God says? Let me know how that works out. I'll be waiting on you when you get back. But that's what pride's all about. Jesus actually confirms this account to be true when he says in Luke chapter 4, verse 27, and many in Israel had leprosy in the time of the prophet of Elisha, but the only one healed was Naaman, a Syrian. So clearly, in this story, pride is at the center of it. At the core, pride is the mindset, my way is better than God's way. That's what pride is. My way is better than God's way. So there are three key takeaways this morning, things that we need to be on guard, okay, to keep pride out of our life. Now, I want you to look at me. It's not if, but when we have pride. All of us struggle with this. This is not one of those sins that's like, well, I struggle with this and you probably don't. We struggle with it on some level, some more than others. I understand that. But we all have pride, meaning we all want our way, and we think our way is the best way. Christy and I argue about that all the time, her way or my way. And she's learning that my way is always better than her way. And so we're getting there. That's going to cost me something. All right. Here, I got three things today I want you to write down. I'm going to get back to my notes. Number one is the pride of my position. Things that we need to be on guard. Things that we need to watch out for. Things that we need to put a little flag by and take note of. It's the pride of my position. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1. The king had a great admiration for Naaman, the commander of his army, because through him, watch this, through him the Lord had given him great victories. So the king experienced great victories because of Naaman, but was it because of Naaman? No, the Bible says it was through him. The Lord worked through him to give him great victories. Actually, in some of the older literature, Naaman, this was a bad dude. I want to paint this picture. This dude was a bad dude. There are some historians believe that he was the archer who took out King Ahab. So this guy's not an ordinary dude. He's a bad dude. He was accomplished. He was admired for his military success, and because of it, he was placed in higher positions of authority. He was rewarded financially. Yet the scripture said the Lord had given him the great victories. Now we see Naaman's pride in his position because he expected Elisha to come out and greet him. Now when you look at this, you think, well, okay, that makes sense. Here is Naaman. He's a man of authority. He's a man of power. He's got this great position. At least the man of God could have come out and greeted him in person. But he didn't. He sent out his administrative assistant to go tell Big Boy, Big Britches, someone who was thinking more of himself than he should have, to go and wash in the Jordan River 7 times and you will be clean. And then he goes on to say, not only should he have come out and met me in person, he should have waved his hand over me like a magic wand and my leprosy would have been gone. So he had this preconceived idea and plan how all of this was going to work. And then, watch this, it's because of his position. He's used to having things his way. And when things did not happen the way he thought they should have happened, he gets mad and walks away. And I'm like, dude, All you got to do is go to the Jordan River, dip 7 times, and you get your healing. But Naaman had so much pride in his heart. He says, I don't want to do that because that's not my way. That's not the way I expect it to happen. Now, let me just stop. Now, I believe this is for somebody. I just want to tell you this. God's way is always better than our way. And sometimes when our way doesn't open up, we take it as that's not God's way. So I'm just going to tell you, just stop. Because God's way will always find a way to work. But we have to submit to his way. All right. He expected Elisha to heal him. He wanted to be healed. I get all of that. Now, you got to give him some props. He was humble enough to go out and meet the man of God. Could it be because of his position? He was a great commander. He thought he deserved the respect of others. I see that. Same way with us, we think our way is better than God's way. How quickly do we forget all the success in our lives comes from God in the first place? So regardless of how much you get promoted, regardless of how much you are admired by others, we must remember it was God who gave us the promotion. God either allowed it or he appointed it. Pride will make us want to credit. Pride will say, look what I have done. Look at what I have built. Look what I have accomplished. Because of our position, because of our authority, because of our capacity, because of our ability. Sometimes we want to take credit for what God has done in our life. That's what happened with Naaman. Scripture says it was the Lord who gave him the great victory. Not Naaman himself. Oh, he's a bad dude. I get that. But without God, he would have just been an ordinary person. Pride is the difference between who you are and who you think you are. Paul said in Romans chapter 12, verse 3, don't think you are better than you really are. The word think there is translated as to look at oneself higher. So don't look at yourself higher than what you really are. Naaman, more than likely, was starting to equate what he accomplished with who he was, resulting in pride in his heart. It was pride that kept him from doing what the man of God instructed him to do. It was pride that kept him from going to the Jordan River, listening to the servant. It was pride who said, well, this is not done the way I was expecting it to be done, so I'm going to get mad, I'm going to take my ball, and I'm going to go home. That's exactly what he's acting like. We do the same thing. We need to remember God is still God when we win and when we lose. He's still God when we succeed, and he is still God when we fail. James chapter 1 verse 17 says, whatever is good and perfect is a gift coming down from our God, our Father. So every good and perfect gift comes from God, our Father. So whatever we have in life, whoever we are, listen, I'm not in any way saying taking anything away from who you are or what you've accomplished. I'm just saying without God, without the favor of God, without God opening that door, without God providing an opportunity, you wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't have what you have today. Every good and perfect gift comes from God the Father. And when we recognize that, when we pray that, when we acknowledge that, what happens? It keeps pride at bay in our hearts. It keeps our head from getting swelled up thinking, look what I have done and look what I have accomplished. It's good preaching. It really is. Y'all not helping me, but it's good preaching. We can take pride in what we think or what we've done, what we accomplished or the position we have. It's all because of God. It's because God gave us the ability and God gave us the opportunity. And if God did not give us the ability or the opportunity, we wouldn't have what we have today. That's so good. Number 2, the pride of my possessions. Things that we have to be guard of, to be guard on, to make sure that we don't allow pride to get in our hearts. So the pride of my possessions. Number 2, 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 5. So Naaman started out carrying as gifts 750 pounds of silver, 150 pounds of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. In today's conversion rate, watch this, that is over $3 million. That go a long ways toward our building fund, just saying. We can't determine Naaman's motives for bringing all the money and the clothing to Elisha. However, at best, or at least it implies that he either wanted to impress, he wanted to bribe, or he wanted to pay the prophet for his services. Naaman took great pride in his wealth. Let's face it, success comes with its rewards. It's okay to have money as long as money doesn't have you. Listen, in no way am I teaching, preaching, I'm not even implying that having nice things is not good. I'm not preaching against your possessions. I'm not preaching against your position, as long as that position and those possessions don't take over the throne where God should be sitting in your life. And as long as we recognize that the position that we have is because God gave us the ability or the opportunity to have that position, and the possessions that we have, as long as we recognize and acknowledge that God is the one who gives our possessions, gives us possessions, then we're okay. Are y'all still with me? Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18 says, remember the Lord your God. He is the one who gives you the power to be successful. One translation says, it is God who gives you the ability to produce wealth. So don't let this thing go to your head, because again, we already know that pride goes before destruction. So we got to say, God, every day, Lord, everything that I am, the position that I have, the job that I have, the promotion that I'm getting, all of these things, my house, my car, my kids, everything that I have, Lord, it belongs to you. It came from you, and it's for you, and it's because of you. And what happens is that keeps pride out of our hearts and out of our lives. Because if we let it, pride and our possessions will take our focus off the one who gave us the possessions. Have you ever looked at your car, your clothes, your bank account, or your house and thought to yourself, look what I have done. Look at everything that I have done. Have you ever looked at what you've owned and thought, now I can impress all my friends? Have you ever taken inventory of your life, failed to realize to give God credit for it? Pride will make us think what we have is actually who we are. What we have is who we are. It will convince us what we've done, what we own is a result of our own doing. In a very materialistic culture today, many of us put too much stock in what we own and what we want to own. Again, I'm not preaching against that. I'm about climbing the ladder. I'm about get up and get at it. I get all of those things as long as they don't take the place of God, and as long as we don't say we have all of these things because of our ability, because of our hard work. It's us. No, I get it. It takes, if I could give you 2 words to succeed in life, it would be these 2 words: grace and grit. Here, grit says it's all about me. And you got to have some grit in this world if you're going to make it. You got to have some grit if you're going to get married and stay married. You're going to have some grit if you're going to build a business. If you're going to grow life, you're going to be financially secure. You got to have some grit in this life. And if you don't have any grit, you're not going to make it. But you can't have all grit and no grace. And you can't have all grace and no grit. That's just some free stuff right there. That's just free. Y'all not writing anything. That's just so good. I'm moving on, okay? But sometimes we think our 401k, our houses, our clothes, and all that thing, we think if we get those things, they will satisfy us. Now, you know what? If you get a new jacket, you're going to be already thinking about the next jacket. If you get a new pair of shoes, you're going to think about, you get a house, you're going to be thinking about your next house. Again, I'm not preaching against any of those things. I'm just saying they're not going to bring satisfaction to your life. That's not what's going to make you happy over the long haul. That's not what's going to bring true joy to your life, because you can climb to the top of this world. I've said this many times recently. I hope that, listen, when we get to the top of our mountain, wherever that mountain may be, if all there is possessions and some friends, things like that, listen, it's going to be really sad if we get to the top of this mountain and all we have to look forward to are the possessions. No, it's not about the wealth that we are accumulating down here, but it's about the treasure that we're storing up in heaven. It's the difference that we're making as individuals and families and churches. And listen, you can have all the nice things in the world and still miss out on true joy. The only thing that's going to bring true joy and contentment to your life is a healthy relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what will bring true contentment to your life. Naaman had it all, yet he still needed the poor prophet for healing. Think about that. The great evangelist Billy Graham said, pride consists not in wanting to be rich, but in wanting to be richer than your neighbor. It is not in wanting to be noticed, but in wanting to be the most noticed. It is not in wanting to have things, but in wanting more things than others. Number 3, my favorite one. It's the pride of my plan. My plan. When Elisha told him, he sent out his servant and said, I want you to go, let's just stop. Do you think God knew that Naaman had a problem with pride? You think God already knew this? You think, we sang about it this morning, I think it was in one of our songs, that everything God does is on purpose. Did we sing that? Okay, thought we did. I listened to it 3 times. But God does everything on purpose. You think God already knew that? You think there's a reason why Elisha didn't even get off the couch to go out there? He said, go out there and tell Big Britches to go do this. Yeah, he already knew this. He knew this, all right? 2 Kings, he told him to go wash in the Jordan River. And Naaman responded, I love this. He said, aren't the rivers back home? He names all these rivers far apart. He says, go back home. They're better back home. Better than any of the rivers of Israel. Why shouldn't I wash in them and be healed? You know what he's saying? Lord, my river is better than your river. My way is better than your way. Lord, my plan is better than your plan. Do you not know who I am? I'm Naaman. I'm the great commander. I'm a great warrior. I'm a man of position, and I've got a lot of possessions. I shouldn't have to go wash in the river that all of these common and ordinary people are washing in. I should go back and have a clean river, Lord. It's about my plan, not your plan. In his pride, not only did Naaman get angry that Elisha didn't come out and pray, but he also didn't like dipping in this Jordan River. I get it, the river was muddy. Look, dude, you got leprosy. Just do what God told you to do instead of arguing with God. Again, pride will cause us to think our way is better than God's way. I love that. Lord, I get it. I'm sick. I got an incurable disease. You want me to go to that muddy river? I want to go back home and wash in a clean river. There are lots of times where God's way doesn't make sense or it's very inconvenient to us. Who are we to tell God how things should be? Now, Lord, just visual. This is how I think when I write. This is how I do this. Visualize this, okay? God, I know I got an incurable disease. I got all the money in the world, so I've been to all the doctors. I've tried everything that I know to do, and it hadn't worked. And I know that you're telling me to go do this Jordan River thing, but it's muddy. I don't want to go do the muddy thing. I want to go do the clear thing. Can you just imagine all this? God sitting up there going, let me know how that works out. It's a great line. It's a great line. How often do we try to do things our way? Has pride caused us to make decisions first and then to pray second? How many times have we said, Lord, I've been thinking about this. And I know you're really busy and you got a lot of things on your mind. And I just want you to know I've already got this thing figured out. So I've already got this plan. So maybe you're thinking about getting married. And you're like, Lord, I already got her picked out. Already got him picked out. Already got this. And Lord, I just want you to bless this relationship. Or how many times like, Lord, I really want this job. And I went and applied for this. So this is the job that I got. And I want you to bless my job. Lord, I got this strategy and this is what I want to do, and I think this is the way. So really what we do is we come up with our way and our plan, and then we ask God to bless our way and our plan. And it doesn't work out that way. But what we do know, God always blesses his way and he blesses his plan. So if the blessing and the favor is on his way and his plan, then why not start with his plan first? Why not go to God and say, Lord, what is your plan and what is your way and what is your strategy? I'm telling you, this works in your marriage. It works with your kids. It works in your business. It works in your relationship. You get on God's page. And when you get on God's page and when you're in alignment with God, he's going to bless whatever you put your hands to. But we got to get in alignment with God instead of saying, God, will you get in alignment with me? You see the difference there? We're either going to be in alignment with God or we're going to ask God to get in alignment with us. Let me tell you something. What some of you need to do is just stop. Everybody just say stop. That's exactly what you need to do. You're headed down the wrong road. You're trying to do it your way. You're trying to do your own plan. And it's kind of like, now I know, men, we don't get lost. Okay? But every once in a while, we'll make the wrong turn, a scenic route, we call it, and we'll start heading down the road. As soon as you know that you're going the wrong way, the sooner you stop and the sooner you turn around, the better it's going to be for you. Because the longer you go, the more frustrated you're going to get, the more time you're going to waste, the more energy you're going to waste, and the more resources you're going to waste. Not to count the argument that you're having with your spouse during the whole time, okay? Listen, but when you don't pray, listen to this. When you don't pray before making a decision, we're communicating to God, I know better than you. Again, we make the decision and then we ask God to bless that decision. Instead of praying and saying, Lord, would you help me with this decision? Lord, would you help me with this process? Would you show me your way, how this is supposed to work out? Lord, I wouldn't be here without you. This is a prayer that I have prayed many times at Northwest. Lord, I would not be here without you. Northwest Church would not be here without you. We're about to cross over. Help me. What's the way? What's the strategy? Because here's a great prayer. Lord, I don't want to go anywhere you're not going. Lord, if you're not going, I'm not going anywhere. Lord, if you're not going, I'm staying here too. I'm going to move when you move. Now listen, this is so important. Don't make a decision and then pray. Don't act and then pray. You always start with prayer. Lord, what's your way? Now, deep down, no matter what we say, we believe, our actions indicate we think we can do it without God. So watch this. I'm almost done. When we pray, we acknowledge our dependence on God. Okay? That's what that communicates. God, I'm dependent on you. It's the reason I'm coming to you in prayer. You're above me. You have more knowledge. You have more wisdom. Your way's better than my way. So I'm coming to you in prayer because I acknowledge I'm communicating to you, Lord, communicating to you that I trust you. That's true. So what happens when we don't pray? We're saying, Lord, I got this. Lord, I don't need you in this. I don't need you in this relationship. I don't need you in this decision. I've just come to realize you bathe everything in prayer. Are you with me? Okay, our pride, let me back up. Everything happens either because he made it happen or he allowed it to happen. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9 says, we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. You can make your own plan, but the Lord's going to order our steps. How prideful would it be for us to think that we can live according to our plan? How prideful would it be for us to say our plan is better than God's plan? Our pride often conflicts with God's plan, and when they meet, friction happens. Are you tired of being at odds with God and his plan for your life? We can either humble ourselves or God will do it for us. Here's what Pete said in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5. He says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. The word opposes, that's a verb, but watch this. It's written in the present tense, meaning that God continually opposes the proud. It's a continuation, okay? Now, God opposes the proud. If you go and look at that up in the original language, it's translated as it's range and battle against. So again, because I'm a visual guy, watch this. So your pride in the red corner. In the blue corner is God's plan. So your pride in God's plan is opposed in battle. It's a one-on-one boxing match with God the Father. Let me know how that works out. Pride, our pride, his plan. They oppose each other on a battlefield. So it's like us versus God. Our pride, his plan. Let me help you. Lord, your way, not my way. Lord, your timing, not my timing. He goes on to say in verse 6, so humble yourselves under the mighty power of God. Watch this. And at the right time, that's the key. At the right time, he will lift you up. What I try to do sometimes is I try to get ahead of the Lord. Say, Lord, let me help you. I want to get this ball rolling quicker. We got to move on quick. No, at the right time. The right time is his time. He will lift you up. At the right time, he will take care of it. Not your time, not my time, but his time. And so you have to trust not only his will, but the timing of his will. It's good. It's just a good word. And I wish we had another experience. I want to preach this again. Would you bow your head this morning, please?
Thank you so much today for tuning in and checking out the message. We hope you were encouraged. And today, if you'd like to make a decision to become a Christ follower, please contact us. You can do that by simply clicking the link in the description below. And today, if you'd like more information about Northwest Church, or you would like to plan a visit to come visit us in person, you can simply do that by going to northwestchurch.tv. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to connect with you.